Welcome back to another episode of, or if you're new, welcome to an episode of the TNA podcast. We are episode 2, season 2. You're listening to the TNA podcast.
Totally not appropriate.
We're your hosts, Taylor Sappington, a cosmic cartographer, medical astrologer, and herbalist decoding the intersection of soul, body, and belief.
And Adrian Irizarry, a psychoalchemist trained in East Asian medicine, vibrational healing, and the sacred science of your nervous system.
Together, we blend ancient tools, clinical wisdom, and unapologetic truth-telling.
From main events to metaphysics, tarot to tonics, karma to cancel culture, nothing is off limits and everything is on the table.
This space is for the boldly curious,
the ones who crave uncomfortable conversations, crave deeper insight, and are done pretending that they don't feel what they feel.
So turn it up,
tune in,
and don't say we didn't warn you.
Welcome to TNA.
Adrian and I were just talking about nicknames. I have changed my banner to say Tink. It was T-Pain before. They used to call me Tinkerbell in the hospitals that I worked in. Mm-hmm. So when they paged me, it was paging Tink.
I love that. Well, I was just saying to Taylor, I was like, I got to come up with some
a sizzle,
because mine is just like
Big Red.
Big Red. Kind of like the gum.
Yeah. Big Red was good. Are you kidding? I loved Big Red.
I worked on a team in the past and both of our names began with A. So we were the A team. My nickname is Addie. My parents call me Addie. My family calls me Addie, but not a lot of people call me Addie. So I'm going to have to come up with some though.
Yeah.
Because I'm enjoying your changes of your banner here.
Changes. Just watch it continue. You know, I constantly joke. I had a call with my mentor yesterday, and I am obviously like studying cosmology, which is an aspect of quantum medicine. There are so many branches you can go into in quantum medicine, and I find cosmology the study of the soul and contracts. They're very real, past lives or parallel lives, depending on the way that you want to look at it. You know, soul presence. It's interesting when you look at people, are the lights on and no one's home, or are the lights on and everyone's in a room? Like, you really start to look at people through a different lens when you look at soul presence. And trauma is something that all of us deal with collectively and a lot of us deal with personally. And that's only a piece of the picture when it comes to fragmentation of your soul. But my whole point in sharing all of this is, like, when you start the process of retrieval, this is going to sound like I'm not tripping on anything, I promise. I haven't taken mushrooms, and I've taken many mushrooms. I won't be touching them again. Like, I'm not tripping on something. I'm not high. This is all actually quantified by physics. Quantum medicine, quantum physics has quantified all of this in a scientific way that most people in today demand and command for, right? Like, I need your studies. Okay, I got them, especially when it comes to this stuff. But like, I'm in the process of retrieval, which means I'm bringing pieces of myself back. And guys, this is not like I'm going to sit down and do a devotion and call my energy back. Like, I love if you're doing that. And the potency of that, it's kind of like diluting something in water, you know? So, but as you call pieces and parts of your soul back, call sounds silly. We're working with much more concrete things, but I'll say call for, you know, ease of conversation. You start to change. You change physiologically, like you change physically, your presentation starts to change. Like, every time I meet with my mentor, she's like, you look different. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I look at myself every day. So I can see some of the changes that are a little more pronounced. So I imagine in this evolution, there will be many nicknames, but some of the ones favorite from past are T-Pain, when I was a frat mom in college. Man, that's a story to tell.
It sounds like it.
We had 2 doors that had like multiple padlocks on them because, you know, Thirsty Thursday is a thing.
Yep. 100%.
You're just like, go to bed. My room was right inside the front door.
Oh, yeah.
Before they hit the stairs.
Yep.
So it was so easy to be like, and I'm like, I have class at 8:00. I actually want to get out of college. I don't want to do this for much longer. And then Tinkerbell, I had a physician that decided he was going to call me Tink, and it took on. It spread from unit to unit. So you know.
I love that. Tinkerbell fits though. I really enjoy that one.
Have you ever seen the meme of Tink where she's like really cute and dainty and her foot's up and she's like in a garden? Like there's like a,
Yeah.
okay. And then there's the voluptuous Tink. Have you ever seen the voluptuous Tink?
No.
Oh, there is a voluptuous Tink. I will have to send it to you. It's absolutely adorable. But I keep saying, like when we bring energy in and our body can't process it, there's a whole other means of feeling inflamed that goes along with it. You can't see it physically, but you can feel it energetically. It's almost like everything that you're bringing back in has nowhere to go and your body can't process it. So you have to find different ways for your body to start bringing the energetic information in and processing it. But I was like, I feel a little obese right now. Like I feel energetically obese at the moment. Like,
yeah.
Oh, so it makes me wonder too, when people show up and they're like, I feel stuffed in my body. I'm like, well, there's inflammation, but like, what else are we dealing with here? So
exactly. Well, and this is the kind of conversation we don't have enough. Like I went to an event this morning. It was like a speed networking thing.
You like my mug? I don't need Google. My boyfriend knows everything. I bought this when I met Paul because he was like, we've changed in a decade, but Anywho, you went to a networking event this morning.
I did. I went to a networking event this morning, and the way that I introduced myself was, I work in that intersection between my labs look fine, but I don't feel fine. And everybody in the room laughed. But I said it that way because, well, one, I work in women's health. It was a predominantly male room. Usually there's somebody that cracks some joke about PMS or perimenopause, because they have a spouse or somebody close to them that's going through that set of symptoms, stage of life, all of the above. But it's really true. So it's like what you were talking about, feeling like energetically stuffed. I've had clients come in where their eyes look like completely vacant. It's like the lights are on, but nobody's home. And they're interacting with you, but they're like very spacey.
Let's get weird. Let's go woo a little bit, right? Like there is, when you look at this through the lens of quantum, like there's the avatar, literally the avatar. Guys, go back to the movie Avatar and think about it in reverse. Like you are a character in a Sims game, right? So there's the avatar that carries out and executes everything that it's programmed to do. And then there's the spirit that informs the avatar. The avatar and the spirit can operate without the soul. Right. And then there's the soul, which is literally why you're here. It takes everything that you've accumulated from all lives, past, parallel, etc., and it informs the genuine purpose of why you're here. So, what you're speaking to, the lights are on, but nobody's home. A lot of people have soul walkouts.
Well, I mean, but like that comes back to your point. Like we can get woo with it, but like
it's not
there's
that woo.
It's not. There's a lot of this that really can be measured. It just isn't something that is talked about in like everyday conversation. So like I find when I talk to people, like as an Eastern practitioner, I had to get really adept at using Western allopathic terminology.
Which I kind of hate. I'm going to be honest with you. I understand why you do it. Like I've had to do it, and I understand why you're doing it, because people can relate to it. It's a touch point. It makes it tangible for them. And at the same time, do you understand what you're missing out on by not allowing the practitioner, Adrienne in this case, right, to just speak to you in the dialect, like the native tongue of the medicine that she's practicing?
I translate a lot. I feel like
that's an art, by the way.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I say the thing in the native tongue, so to speak, and then I will explain that for a Western mind, because when it doesn't land with people, they're like, oh, well, it can't be a thing. So like, I was just kind of thinking about that as you were talking about how
small-minded we have to be. For that to be our first thought when we don't understand something. Well, if I don't understand it, it must not be a thing. If it can't be quantified in data and placed on a piece of paper in black and white, it must not be a thing. Are you fucking kidding me?
I've had spouses challenge me. So I've been working with the wife. We need to look at the diagnostics of the husband because it's a fertility case. And I have had husbands challenge me, go toe to toe with me in person and through telehealth appointments about the fact that there are no studies about what it is that I do. And
because women aren't studied.
That's it. And that's my response is, okay, I hear what you're saying. However, when less than 5% of the NIH budget goes to women's health related anything, and now we're looking at this fertility equation, and they're just now starting to understand that men are, in a lot of cases, more than half of the health at the early stages of the pregnancy, right? The male sperm, the health of the sperm dictates whether you have preeclampsia
or if it's viable.
Correct. I was just going to say miscarriage is very much heavy on the quality of the sperm. And the cool part is that the egg has wisdom, and the egg can repair a lot of the DNA issues with sperm, but she can only fix him so far.
Yep.
So but we don't have these big, large, sweeping studies to look at. We have these small little case studies, and we have anecdotal,
which we discredit
information. And oftentimes it does get discredited. Yes.
But here's the thing. The anecdotal information is oftentimes 10 times more powerful than what you're going to find in a randomized controlled clinical trial, because it's reflective of real life.
I agree with that 100%, because when they run those trials, it's only as good as the question being asked and the agenda of the researcher.
And the inclusion criteria and the exclusion criteria. Yeah. Oh, and can we talk about follow-up? Because a follow-up with most trials is abysmal. Mm-hmm. It is awful. Okay, 6 months is not follow-up. 12 months is not follow-up. Arguably 2 years is not follow-up, but we're at a point with information being collected in the form of trials where 2 years is considered gold standard. But what we really want to see is 10, 15, 20 years. Data in the medical field, the Western medical model, lags 17 to 20 years. So most of what your physician is practicing right now it's predicated upon information that was generated 15 to 20 years ago. Isn't that interesting?
And I'm really glad that you mentioned this, because this dovetails really lovely into what we were planning on talking about today.
Can I tell one story?
Yeah.
Can I be a squirrel really quick? So we just put a beehive in our backyard. It's been like a goal of mine. I'm in my homesteading era, and I don't see me coming out of it anytime soon. Like, if I could just be outside all day, I'm like a pig in shit. The smile on my face. You saw it. I sent the picture. Yeah. I'm like so happy. But it's all about observation and education too. Like, I'm learning from a beekeeper who's local, right? And our girls, most bees are girls, right? So the male bees are called drones. Drones don't have a stinger, and drones don't leave the nest. I think this goes really well with like what we can see collectively with men, right? So drone bees in a bee colony in a beehive are utilized for the primary purpose of fertilization. They don't contribute outside of that. So they fertilize and they eat and they fertilize. I know, I was like dying laughing when I heard this. And eventually the colony gets tired of the chunky male bee that only fertilizes and eats and kicks them to the front porch. And they can't fly because they're so chunky. Mm-hmm. So they meet their death sitting on the front porch, because all they've done their entire life is fertilize, bees, like bee eggs, if you will, and eat. And I was just like, that is the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard. These are actually really social. Like, it's very interesting to learn about all of the different roles that they play. Like, they're born with their role and they know what their role is. It's fascinating. I'm just like, this is wild, So, but I was like, oh, that's what male bees are. They can't sting, they can't fly, they can eat and jizz.
It sounds like the root cause for meno divorce these days.
My husband was like standing 10 feet back because I was in the jacket. I wanted to get up close and personal. And he was just like, biggest smile on his face. He's like, I already know where this conversation's going, but I'm just like, so, I was like, oh, well, nice to meet you. There were no drones in my colony. Not yet. They have to be made, right? We have a fairly young queen. But I was like, oh, that's really interesting to learn about male bees. Like, they can't sting you, they can't fly, they can eat, and they can fertilize. That is like, # goals for a lot of guys. Like, But as you were saying, this is a really nice segue into talking about perimenopause.
It is, as even though it sounds like we went down the long and windy, like it totally all goes together because perimenopause is a journey. And
I agree. They're starting to come out. Like I have seen physicians, some of which are in the United States, many of which live outside of the United States, calling menopause and perimenopause a disease. Do you agree with that?
no,
Thank you.
not at all. There are 4 mammalian species that go through perimenopause, and 3 of them are whales, and one of them is
Us.
human. So, like, and there's actually a lot of gifts. Oh, okay. So here's Adrienne getting on her fucking soapbox about that terminology. So first, let's clear up terminology. Perimenopause is the journey to that one day after 365 days of no period.
Why does it take so long?
Because your hormones are playing a game of telephone, and that game evolves over the course of anywhere from 7 to 15 years. It is a journey, guys. I have seen even doctors, okay, that have fucked up this terminology, and it makes me crazy. So perimenopause is the journey. It starts in your mid to late 30s. And it goes all the way through the time your period no longer comes.
So it could be 8 years, it could be 6 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 12 years, just to clarify.
Correct. It is unique to you. Sometimes family history can give you a picture, but a lot of times it doesn't. And I can talk about why that is. But menopause is one day.
Thank you. It's not like this.
One day.
Ongoing, like.
No, it is one day. It is the one day you have been 365 days with no period.
Oh my God.
The next day,
I'm going to have a funeral that day. I'm not even kidding.
The next day, you are postmenopausal.
Yep.
And will be for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Okay. Let's be really clear about the terminology, because I see perimenopause and menopause interchanged a lot. And they're not the same thing. Where you are symptomatic, where you are essentially complaining about the journey, is perimenopause. Okay. Chinese medicine recognizes that your body goes through 7-year cycles. It starts at 35. 42, you have another big hormonal shift. A lot of women will notice it between 40 and 42. And then 49 is where you're standing on the doorstep of the blood really stopping. So if you're having weirdness in your cycle leading up to that, that is something that is common. I don't want to say it's normal. It is common. We normalize it, but
because our resolutions for it are take birth control.
Yeah.
It comes back into this conversation to regulate your cycle. What the fuck?
And you get the people who go on HRT and they're like, how the hell do I know if I'm even doing the thing or not? Like,
we've talked about this. You cannot just introduce estrogen and progesterone without considering every step. Hormones are a metabolic byproduct of an optimally functioning body.
Yes. And again, here's my soapbox. Having those numbers naturally decrease as you're going through your 40s is what's supposed to happen. It is supposed to happen.
Yep.
I cannot tell you, and this is the part that makes me wild, the number of people who are coming to my practice now who are going, I was put on some form of HRT, progesterone or estrogen, because my numbers are low.
I just had this conversation with somebody, like a dear person in my community who's been placed on progesterone. First of all, her physician put her on progesterone the entire month. And I'm like,
yeah, no.
Why are you on progesterone the entire month? Like, did she take any time to talk to you about when we see a natural uptick in progesterone and then a natural? So she has you taking it in your follicular phase. She has you taking it through ovulation, and then she has you taking it while you're bleeding. That makes no fucking sense.
And if you're taking progesterone, yes, it's going to fuck with the length of your cycle. So I had a call the other day.
Yes, like
the person was like, I've always been like 28, 29 days. I started taking hormones at the recommendation of my doctor because I was experiencing emotional symptoms and I was having a hard time dealing with stress and that type of thing. And again, explainable why that happens. However, she reached out to me because she panicked because her period was 8 days late. Yes, your period won't start until you stop taking the progesterone. But they don't educate you about that. It makes me freaking wild.
Here's the other thing too that I think, we really need to look at least this is what I have come to understand deeply, witnessing my own journey, right? Mm-hmm. Which we can talk about, constitution. I think it's important that we do. Your hormones are representative of your relationships. Your endocrine system is representative of your relationships with yourself, with your work, and with others. So if you are finding dysfunction and dysregulation in the way that you process and metabolize and respond to stress and environments and people and confrontation and expectations and all the other bullshit that is loaded onto you as being a participant in today's world, right? Your cycle is your body's only way of giving you a clear display of that dysfunction. And it typically takes severe discomfort and dysfunction in your cycle for you to pay attention. And nobody talks about the importance of coming into right relationship as part of the prescription too.
Yes. And like your relationship also changes as you start going through this change too. So, my conversation with this person was, okay, so why is it that you started taking it in the first place? Because the why is important.
Yes.
A lot of times people reach out for solutions like this because they are not feeling quote unquote normal. Well, okay, you're naturally supposed to go through a transition. You're not going to feel like you did before you started going through this transition, but let's talk about how to navigate what is happening in your body now. And this is just not the way that we are taught. That is not the information that we get from our practitioners. And with the changing of the warning labels on hormone replacement therapy, we're talking about the fact that data is essentially in retrospect, right? Like it's so far behind.
Most pharmaceuticals, unfortunately, right? It's kind of like take the kind of out, like it's doing the thing and asking for forgiveness later. But the byproduct or the casualty of asking for forgiveness later is oftentimes an impact on people's quality of life, functionality within their body, or death.
Right. I really am afraid of where our very HRT heavy focused culture is going to lead us in the future, because
it goes along with this whole like preservation of something that is meant to be passed. Like it's a bypassing of a natural rite of passage. You cannot outsmart the body. You can to a degree, right? But I really don't think you can outsmart the body, because the body will compensate and it will pivot and it will respond and compensate and pivot and respond. And then eventually it'll be like, well, you asked me to do this for 10 years. Here's the consequence of that.
You could only do so much for so long, right? Before the body goes from a whisper to a yell. And often if you're able, well, and if you're ignoring it, when you get to perimenopause, like you can't ignore that scream anymore. One of the things I talked to somebody about this morning was the fact that she goes, I think I've always just compensated with ADHD. And now that I'm going through perimenopause, I just can't.
Much too. Like the whole ADD, ADHD thing, like overutilization of that fucking label, right? We're not talking about minerals enough. We're not talking about trauma in respect to this particular diagnosis enough. I'm so over the like, I'm 40 and I was just diagnosed with ADD. I'm like, really? What other conversations did you have?
Well, and I'm actually going to take that a step further. And as an Eastern medicine practitioner, it's the fact that you're becoming more yin deficient, meaning that all of the fluids and substances, all the coolant in your car, this is why you're waking up between 1 and 3 in the morning warm. If you're half in, half out of the covers, you're starting to get warm. Yeah. Yeah. We started before we hit record talking about bullies and they're like licking and gross sounds in the middle of the night. But when you're in perimenopause, you can't sleep through that shit. Like when you were younger, you could.
In the world. And I'm like, you hear that? And then she's like, I'm like, oh my God, she's going to puke. So then I'm sitting outside in my underwear and a sweatshirt, you know, at midnight going like, do we need to puke? You know what I mean? Like mom brain is definitely in there too, where it's just like, it's my kid.
Yes.
I can't click it off. We're done. Like she's up, you know?
Yes.
So.
Well, and, you know, for those of you who might not have kids,
dogs are kids, P.S.
those things, it's because you're becoming more yin deficient. When there isn't enough substance to anchor you down solidly into sleep, you may not be experiencing full sleep disruptions yet, but you may notice that it takes just the littlest sound to bring you out of a sound sleep. Yep. That's how it starts. But that's the whisper stage.
Since my son was born, like, you
know, I feel like that too, though.
Oh my God. I swear to God, something happens. I'm sure there's science behind this, you know, where you have a kid and like everything just amplifies. Intuition amplifies. We know that. Auditory elements amplify. I love it when your kid's like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I'm a witch, kid. One day you'll understand, you know? So like, but it's very different to witness like and observe a male or a father in the whole, because mom's the alert. When your wife, you know, whether it's dogs or cats or kids, because I do think there's a maternal instinct with our furry babies too. There's a soul connection there. You know, when your wife and or partner is like on high alert about something, please don't gaslight her intuition. Listen to her. Please listen to her. She knows something you don't, I promise. She might not be able to explain it because she doesn't have the words for it. That's not how intuition works, you know, but she knows something. She's up for a reason. Something feels off. Just execute based on where she's leading you, you know.
Yes.
But perimenopause and constitution, I think, is really important to talk about because I was so convinced that I wasn't knocking on the door. I was sitting on the couch with a cozy beverage in my hand of the perimenopause chapter of my life. And what we've come to find in, you know, Adrian's obviously stepped in and helped me immensely. I went a bit of time without steaming because I live in hell during the summer, literally. It's so fucking hot in Florida. Everyone's like, yeah, you should have known that. I don't think you understand this kind of hot until you live in it, though. So like in the summer, I would pause on steaming because I have a really hard time processing heat, you know, internally, and then living in it just amplifies what I'm not processing internally. And I was afraid that steaming was going to amplify what I wasn't processing. But I hit a point of desperation. Go listen to Firecrotch. I hit a point, one of our best episodes yet. I hit a point where I was like, I have to figure this out to the degree that I can, you know. And what we've come to find through tracking my hormones, which I have a bone to pick with Anito. My strips are still not here.
Oh, for love.
I have missed out on an entire month of tracking because this particular company that I chose to utilize their device, it's a whole nother conversation. Maybe we can have one about that. But I don't have strips right now. But we have tracked my hormones and we have implemented steaming with appropriate herbs, and my entire presentation has changed. I no longer feel like I'm a perimenopausal mess. And my hormones are telling me I'm not.
Well, and that's the thing. Like a lot of people, when they get to their late 30s or right around the 40 mark, if there's a change in their cycle, and that can happen for 1,001 reasons, but if there's a change in their cycle, they're like, oh, this has to be perimenopause. I'm tired. It has to be perimenopause. I have brain fog. It must be perimenopause.
No,
okay.
Yeah.
No. 35 is where your energy starts to change. Okay.
I think that's just your body going, you have blown enough steam on shit that doesn't matter, and now we must conserve for only the non-negotiables. Thank God the body does that for us.
Well, but a lot of us ignore that and blow straight through it. So if you honor that invitation to create a better balance between work and life, you probably won't feel any of those changes, like the physiological changes, until later. But if you blow straight through it and you're like, nope, I can still work like I was 25 and I can stay up late and get up early and not manage my stress. Or the people who go, but I don't have a choice. I have to work this hard. I have to do this thing. And there are a lot of people, and I'm not throwing shade or shame, because our society has socialized us to think that we have to sacrifice ourselves on the altar of martyrdom. But when we ignore those and we like literally cruise through the stop sign, by the time you get to 40, you haven't even hit 42 yet. And you're starting to go, whoa, what the hell is this? What is going on now? Your cycle really doesn't start getting weird if you're doing it right. Your cycle really doesn't start getting super weird until you're closer to your late 40s.
I do think it's important though, Adrienne, I'm just going to like slide this in here too. We were talking about energetic capacity before, right? So if you're a human being, we as women in particular, I don't know if this is true for men because I'm not a man, right? And I haven't witnessed this in enough men to speak to it. But like we as women in our late 30s and early 40s too, we were talking about retrieval earlier, start to step into more authentic versions of ourselves, right? And that requires a lot of energetic metabolization. So if you are not metabolizing amply, which most of you aren't, like, let's face it, I think it's going to exacerbate endocrine issues and thus cycle display. So like, just a reminder that like, it's important to take care of the physical, absolutely, but you have got to take into consideration the intangible that's informing and influencing the way that you show up.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And, you know, a lot of people in this age bracket find themselves in that sandwich dynamic where they have parents who are starting to age, they have teenagers. Why Mother Nature thought it was appropriate to put perimenopausal and pubescent humans in the same household had a sick fucking sense of humor.
I mean, now we're reparenting the inner teen. Like, I feel like it's kind of perfect too. You're like, well, I have a teen and I'm acting like a teen. So here we go on the reparenting train, you know.
Well, but it's appropriate though. We give teenagers a pass, right? Because we're like, oh, they're in puberty, like,
their hormones.
Their hormones. Well, shit, we have the same thing going on, just in the opposite direction. So it's like, if you have kids or you've observed that like little girls go from like that round, chunky, cute little girl face around 7, and then it like thins out and they start looking like a young lady and like breast buds, their body develops. Their period shouldn't be coming before 12. 12 to 14 is a healthy range for it to start. If the period has not started by 16, it does speak to what's going on in the endocrine system. If it starts earlier than that, similar situation. But there's an evolution, right? It happens over the period of 7 years. Perimenopause works the same way, except we've been doing the cycling thing for a long time. And we have a mortgage and a family and aging parents and teenagers and a partridge in a pear tree. Okay. So let's add all of those pressures on top of similar kinds of hormone changes that are taking place in our teens, but with a hell of a lot more responsibility. Yes, it makes you symptomatic, but what it means is that this is an invitation for you to get really clear on what your non-negotiables are and to make time for you. And it's hard because of all the demands on your time. I'm not saying that it's easy. Shit, my plan was to lift weights yesterday and my whole day got blown up. So I'm going to do it today.
Relatable.
Right? Like, man, by the time I rolled out of bed yesterday morning, I feel like everything I touched, I dropped on the floor, things broke, my schedule went to pot. Like, it was just, everything fell apart yesterday. And I was like, okay, well, the universe is telling me that today is not supposed to be my weightlifting day. That is fine. And I'm going to do it today. But that is a non-negotiable for me. So I am going to make damn sure I get it in somewhere. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. Like, it could be as simple as postponing your coffee instead of having it on an empty stomach as soon as you wake up because you're exhausted. Give yourself time to integrate into your day. Go sit on your front steps and get red light spectrum into your eyeballs.
Even if it's snowing.
Yes, even if it's snowing.
You don't have to see the sun in order to get the benefit of the UV spectrum. Just FYI, like even on cloudy days, you're going to get the benefit of the UV spectrum.
I live in a snow-crusted environment and my tea on the front porch is cold in the morning right now at the time of this recording. But I can tell you, like, I feel totally different when I have the ability to get out and do that. I make sure I have breakfast before I have any coffee. Right. So I'm not artificially creating a cortisol surge that isn't appropriate for my body. Those are little things that can fit into a daily routine. It's just restructuring the way that you do it. So yesterday morning, I didn't have to be anywhere super early, thank God, because I had the dropsies bad. And I decided to have a slow start and cuddle with my 15-month-old because he was really cute and I wanted to be there when he woke up in the morning. So like, if you have the opportunity to slow down instead of the guilt and shame and the crap that we tell ourselves in our head, you have to get out of bed, you have this, you've got to do, you got to that, right? Because we always have a running to-do list of things that literally never gets done. Giving yourself those kinds of pauses will change the way that your journey through perimenopause shows up. It literally will affect like your experience with your cycle and symptoms. It will completely change all of that stuff. And these are little fixes that don't cost anything.
I think the other thing that's really important to make mention of too, at least this is my personal experience, you know, I am a very fire air constitution. So like it is easy for me to blow past boundaries. I have Neptune in my 6th house that's ruled by Capricorn. So like one of the illusions of my life is like when I feel dysregulated in any element of my human experience, I go to work. I escape through my work. And I think a lot of people do the same thing. Like we escape through our work because we feel productive, and productivity makes us feel worthy of existing. And we all have this like preconceived notion that in order to exist, we have to be worthy of it and we have to earn that worthiness to be here. And that's just simply not how this thing works. But I cannot work like I used to. And if there is even like a flicker of desire, my body goes, it shuts me down.
Yeah.
It will not let me move in ways that I used to. And there's a part of me that still gets a bit frustrated. I'm like, we've done this. I know what I'm capable of. And my body is like, yeah, B, do you remember all of the quote unquote chronic illness chapters you found yourself in? We don't talk enough about how potent illness actually is. We don't have to be victims of our illness. We can be students of it.
And it happens when we need to slow down.
100%. And we're under resourced. Of course, the body's going to feel like shit when it's under resourced. Of course, the body's going to feel like shit when the relationships and environments that you place it in, right, are not conducive to its optimal function. We used to spend 70 hours outside every week. We're lucky if we get 10. And that's on the high end of things. We used to touch dirt, not sanitize our hands.
Yeah.
Right? Kids used to play on the playground and fall and get boo-boos. We weren't rushing them to urgent care because they had a bump or a bruise, right? We didn't used to have this need to pathologize everything. And I see that starting to creep into the perimenopausal thing. So when I started to find myself not being able to fully like, yes, I'm working on elements with quantum, and we can get into I don't want to talk about what I'm doing there quite yet because it is potent work, you know, like there are tangible things that I'm utilizing and I'm watching and witnessing a lot of changes. But when I started to witness that, like that tool needed other tools to complement it. And I was like, well, my tools are not, I have good tools, but sometimes we need that objective perspective. I was like, Adrienne, help. I don't know where to put some of this, you know, and literally within 2 days of implementing steaming, everything that I was using could finally settle.
Yeah. We made a couple changes to your herbs and found a steaming routine for you that suits where you are now. And that's what I love about Eastern medicine is you meet the person where they are right now. And instead of, you know, labs that are 3 months old or whatever, like that was a snapshot from then, and that can provide you some insight. But like, I look at the person in the moment across from me and go, okay, what is it that you're experiencing in real time? And then make those changes. So, you know, even if you're in that age bracket, like for me, my 35 chi change, I didn't really start feeling it until 38. But I started living in alignment with my cycle when I was in my early 30s.
Yep.
And I started planning my work around my cycle, and I started to not push myself beyond my capacity during my bleed. And like, I trained my children, mom's moon time is coming. It means all the laundry needs to go through the laundry room, or, hey, can you pick up the baskets for me because I started to bleed? Like, I've normalized this conversation in my household, and it's made such a huge difference. And, when I look at my journey so far, because I'm in my early 40s, 38 is where my body started being like, girl, you cannot burn the candle at both ends. If you work all week and you do one event on the weekend, sound bath, be a vendor at an event, whatever it is, you have to take Monday off. Give yourself time to recover. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question that stopped me in my tracks? Because somebody asked me this. They were like, why are you doing another program in herbalism? I'm like, I want to learn so that I can be in service of others. Yes, it's going to serve me, but it's going to be in service of others. I'm like, why are you in this quantum program? Well, I want to learn to be of service to others, right? Like, yes, it's going to benefit me, but it's to be of service to others. And then the question was, what good is life worth living if everything you do is in service of others and you never enjoy the things that you are doing for yourself, right? And I think that's a question more women need to ask themselves, because I think most women get caught in the, I'm doing it for other people. I'm doing it for other people. I'm doing it for other people. And life just responds to that. But what do you actually genuinely do for you? And that's very Libra South Node of me too. Supporting behind the scenes. You've got a Libra ascendant. You understand supporting behind the scenes. It's kind of codependent. Take the kind of out. It's codependent. It's people pleasing. It's a very easy place to get stuck. But I think a lot of women, regardless of what's going on in their chart, end up there through conditioning. So how much of your life are you actually living in service to yourself so that you can find joy and enjoyment? And it's such a new concept for me. Logically, I understand it, but I'm just starting to understand the whole embodiment of it. Time stops and stands still when you do the things that you absolutely love just for you.
Yes. And you remember what it's like when you were a kid and you did things purely for the joy that it brought you.
And does your medicine not get more potent when you live life that way too? Perhaps placing that before other people, because then you're embodying the whole meaning of doing this.
Well, yeah, you're modeling it for other people. You're making inroads in this conversation that it's not socially acceptable to do things for you because that's self-centered. But here's the thing. I'm going to dispel a myth. You doing something for you does not make you self-centered, number one. And number two, hormonally, you can't be, because testosterone is a self-centered hormone.
Oh, gosh.
And so is
drone
progesterone.
bees. Drone bees, guys.
But estrogen, this is why once we've made our transition, we make excellent leaders. Because yes, we're slightly more testosterone dominant in our postmenopausal years, but we still hold on to a little piece of our estrogen. And that little piece of our estrogen helps us to remain community focused, which is why we make absolutely badass leaders, particularly when we get into this phase of our life. So perimenopause does not have to be a nightmare. It doesn't have to be something to dread. And I'm going to invite you, if you are listening to this and you are thinking to yourself, man, I'm having cycle changes, am I? That is one of the most Googled questions right now, because there's a billion of us that are getting ready to go in.
I mean, yeah, just because you think you're in perimenopause doesn't mean you are. Don't
Correct.
assume. I assumed. And I have a wealth of information, but I cut you off. Keep going, Adrienne.
No. So, really what it is how can you bring your body back into right relationship? And when you bring your body back into right relationship, then you can actually see, am I or am I not? Because we experience cycle dysfunction and disharmony when we are out of integrity with what true alignment looks like in our body. That does not automatically indicate that you are in perimenopause. You can have brain fog. You can have irregular cycles. You can have fatigue. You can have joint pain and not be in perimenopause. Those are all things that can be worked with and bringing your body back into right relationship. Then you can truly see, am I actually starting to do this or not? And I work with a lot of women who are on this journey. And if things are in balance, you generally don't start seeing the breaks in like your cycle. Like, I haven't had a period for 3 months and then I had one show up, and I haven't had one for 6 months and then I had one show up. That generally doesn't start happening until around 49.
Yeah.
So I would say 2 years on either side, you can start to see that kind of stuff. So from 46 on, that could be your reality, and that's okay. The average age in the United States for the menopausal transition is 51.
I don't know. I feel like that needs to be updated.
Well, but that's the most recent information. I do think that it might need to be
BCE. Sorry.
Well, but I mean, it's just like girls going through their first bleed. We have an epidemic number of girls who are hitting it between 9 and 11.
That was
And yeah, my mom was worried it was going to be me because of family history. And thankfully it wasn't. I did make it till 12, but it has to do with resourcing and balance in the body.
I mean, there was a lot of trauma in my sweet little body at a very young age, right? A lot of trauma. And admittedly, we were, I say poor, like we were economically in the class where, you know, food was not what I ate then today. Absolutely not, you know? So like, I do wonder, you know, based on food exposure and environmental exposure, like how much that actually contributed as well too. But yeah, that was me. I think I've asked Adrienne many times, like, okay, I've been bleeding for, you know, less the pregnancy. I've been bleeding for 39 years. Is my body just tired? You know?
Well, I mean, on average, if you do start younger, you often will end sooner than your overall averages, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Eastern medicine believes that the longer you hold on to your bleed, the healthier you are into your later years, and that you can hold on to your bleed for a very long time. And there are a lot of women that are like, oh, I don't want to have my period anymore. And it's generally said that way because it's symptomatic, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I think it. So it's interesting because Adrienne and I were talking before we hit record too. Astrology actually aligns with these 7-year cycles. Like you can see certain transits occurring in this conversation in a female's chart that indicate that there are major changes on the horizon. So astrology doesn't necessarily give us a medical diagnosis for menopause. Okay. Decumbiture doesn't necessarily offer that. It does offer timing when we're looking at a specific chart. Horary would make it that much more specific. But astrology does show us the deeper initiations that are happening around the same time, right? So, and these transitions align in an uncanny way with the hormonal, emotional, and identity changes women go through during perimenopause and menopause. So menopause, as Adrienne has said so many times, is not just a physical shift. It's a rite of passage. Ladies, you're becoming an elder.
You're becoming a powerhouse.
But like we have lost our elders. I think elders are so potent, and we stick our elders in homes and forget about them. Right? You're becoming an elder. Do you understand what privilege that is? Do you understand the amount of wisdom that you hold in becoming a crone? I cannot wait. I can wait, but I'm also excited, if that makes sense. I'm not dreading this chapter of my life. And astrology helps us understand what this transition is asking of us, right? Or asking of you, and how to walk through this with power instead of resistance. There are 4 main transits that often show up in a woman's chart during this season of life. The first one is a Uranus opposition. And this happens between 42 and 44. What did Adrienne say? 42 is when we start our next 7-year cycle. This is considered to be the wake-up call, this particular transit. This is when you start realizing that you can't keep living the same way. Now, if you're burning the candle at both ends, it might happen at 38. I think it happened at 36 for me. Like, my body was like, no more. We can't do this. You can't work like a man and embody all the things of a woman. It just doesn't work that way. You could potentially feel restless, rebellious, or like you've outgrown your old roles, especially those tied to the ideas of being needed or being nice. A lot of women become kind in this chapter of life. They're no longer nice, they're kind. And I think that's an important distinction. Or the need to be in control. I think this is where we start to really relinquish our need for control and recognize that control is an illusion that we've
Absolutely.
been, like plugged into. Like, what can you control? Yeah, you can control what you put in your mouth most of the time, right? Like you can control what comes out of your mouth most of the time. I'm a little impulsive with that, but like what can you actually control? Like really discerning what control looks like. It's the beginning of an inner shakeup. So astrologically, Uranus brings disruption that leads to freedom. It's sporadic, it's unpredictable. Your body, your life, your spirit start asking the question, who are you without people pleasing and old conditioning? Anything you want to add there?
Yes, I love that. And this is why we wanted to talk about this, because in Eastern medicine, there's this invitation to balance your life, right, in your late 30s. But when you get to 42, this is where men, when they reach this 8-year stage in their life, have questions like, is this as good as it's going to get? Because they come face to face with their humanity. Mm-hmm. For women, it becomes this door opening to new possibilities because you're no longer using your chi and pouring it into the creation of life. The Bao Mai reverses direction, and it's now going from womb to heart. And what do I want to create in my life? And so a lot of times you see women who want to change careers. They feel unsatisfied, or they have done this thing because they got pregnant in college. They didn't finish their degree. They want to go back and finish their degree. You see a lot of women who all of a sudden are like, oh, my kids are old enough. Like, I want to take girls' trips. I want to hang out with my friends. And it's very much more externally focused because it's about essentially the vibrancy of the life you want to create for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really important to look up number of women. I had this question asked to me yesterday. Taylor, how many people do you know at your age that are the kind of successful you want to be?
Wow.
Adrian, I just stared. I was like, you're going to have to give me a minute. And I'm like cataloging through the people that I know and the business owners I know. And I'm like, none.
Yeah.
And then how many people do you know at 60 that are the successful you want to be? And I'm like, oh, that list gets a lot bigger. My mentor is like, do you see how ridiculous it is to place this expectation upon yourself of like the type of success that you want to be at your age when everything has been research up to this point? Like, it's stupid to think, unless it's literally written in your astrology that you're going to be some type of successful, which we can find, prior to the age of 50 or 60, you're going to find it. You have to live life and experience and explore and experiment. So go look up women. Oh God, some of my favorite women, they're deceased now. They didn't get successful until their 60s. Literally, Dolores Cannon tells her story and she's like, I was raising babies and being a wife. I didn't have time to do what I was doing before my 60s.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I think we need to hear that way more often, because if we're not Instagram famous by the time we're like 35, we're irrelevant, which I think that's dying too. So go ahead. You were going to say something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just makes me think of like the 40 under 40 lists and like things like that.
No, thanks. I expect you all to work like a mule. We're all capable of doing it at this point. You can do late nights and early mornings. Your whole world revolves around you. That's easy. Yeah, it's interesting to me. So second transit, Neptune squares, age 41 to 43. So this is the dissolution. Okay. Adrian's like, I'm so in these right now. So this is the foggy part. And all of us are going through a Neptune and Saturn in Pisces right now. Okay. So Neptune and Saturn travel together 2.5 to 3 years. Saturn is typically 5 degrees behind Neptune. And this is all about the dissolution of illusion. And the house that it lands in right now is what you're being asked to look at. Mine's currently in my 8th house of Pisces. It's been fun. So this is the dissolution of the foggy part. This is when you're not who you used to be, but you're not sure who you're becoming. What an
Mhm.
uncomfortable place for people to be, right? There
Oh,
may
it
be,
sucks. I have the mug and the t-shirt.
yeah,
I've had to embrace the suck.
yeah. But it's like when we see it, astrology is very good for this. I said last night on my call with my community, I'm like, when life is not making sense to me, I have to go back to my chart, my solar return, my lunar returns, and everything becomes oh so clear. It really reminds me that I can't fight my astrology. Best of luck. You're not getting out of the transit. Like you can go kicking and screaming, but you're going to be tired. So in this particular Neptunian square, there may be fatigue, there may be confusion, there may be sensitivity. Adrian, sensitivity, wink, wink. This is when the veil thins emotionally, hormonally, and spiritually, right? And Neptunian transits ask, can you surrender the old identity and trust what's emerging, like even if it's unclear?
Oh, so what she just said about surrendering the old identity was literally all of 2025 for me. I had to, like I said, embrace the suck. And I was like trying to intellectually, my Aquarian brain wouldn't shut the hell up. And I was trying to
intellectualize it,
figure it out. Right. I'm like, ugh, like this feels gross. I need to like think my way through this. And I really couldn't.
No.
And the more I fought it, the worse I felt, the worse things went. And when I just kind of threw my hands up, I surrendered and was like, okay, like whatever's meant to be will be. By the end of the year, it like shit started to figure itself out. So this is how my identity as a cycle alchemist finally came to the surface because I stopped fighting it.
Yeah.
So I'm on the doorstep of my 42nd birthday for everybody who's listening. And I'm feeling this hard.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what a great time. We have the maturity to actually go through it at this point. Can you imagine if this happened any earlier?
You mean kind of like your Saturn return at 28?
Absolutely. I mean, even your nodal return, I feel like in your mid 30s, you're just coming online with maturation. You're like, okay, I can do this. I'm going to kick and scream a little bit, but I'm going to do this. Then you've got your Pluto transit, late 40s to early 50s. This is inner alchemy. So this is the transformational heart of menopause. That's what this is. Pluto often brings deep change to how you relate to power, control, sexuality, and your body. And it can feel like a death of your old self. I think most women who allow themselves to fully experience the transition to menopause would agree with that sentiment. But it's also the beginning of profound personal power, like profound, right? So if Pluto touches your moon, if Pluto touches Venus or your ascendant first house during this time, the invitation is going to be incredibly clear. And that is, what old story are you ready to burn down so that you can rise in your full authority?
Notice she said 49. Remember I said things move in 7-year cycles? 49
late
is
40s
really...
to early 50s is where you're going to see this Pluto transit. And then the last one we have is your nodal returns and your first house transit. So this is late 40s to early 50s, right? We go through multiple nodal returns. After the one I just went through, I would prefer not to go through another one, but astrology doesn't care. It's all a classroom. So this is the rebirth. The beautiful thing is you can see all these transits, they build on each other. They really are here and meant to, if you know how to work with them, enhance your experience as a human, right? This is alchemy school brought into real time in a tangible way. So the nodal returns and the first house transits, late 40s and 50s, again, is the rebirth. So this is when you step into new purpose, not based on who you were for others, right? As Adrian said, you're done with the caretaking and the creation of life role for the most part, but who you are for yourself. This is the redirection of energy that Adrian was talking about. These transits often ask you to reclaim your voice, recenter your body, and walk a new path led by inner wisdom, not outside approval, right? So the nodes, North Node and South Node, our soul is so very comfortable here. We've done this for many lifetimes. We've mastered it. Our North Node, we're here. It's our growth edge. It's how can we do things differently? It's our learning edge. But the nodes say in this particular transit, you're not the same woman anymore. So what life do you want to build now on your terms?
And then the invitation is to have your partner grow with you. My joke about Menno divorce earlier, like this is why this is happening at such a high level at this stage of life, is you are stepping into your sovereignty and you are articulating boundaries that you may have felt before, but you haven't been loyal to. And now you're like, this is now a non-negotiable. Like I can already feel some of that starting to come forward in me. And I articulate this to my family. And sometimes they're a little put off by the fact that I'm like, no, I'm not doing that thing. And, and it's not that I'm trying to be difficult, but it's like, no, that doesn't feel aligned to me. That doesn't feel good to me. So no,
your body's not going to let you live out of alignment anymore either. Like, I think that's the one thing that we cannot hack our way out of living out of alignment, right? Because that's going to come at a cost too. So sure, you can do the peptides and you can do the bioidentical hormone replacement therapy or the hormone replacement therapy. Most people don't know the difference between the two and they're getting HRT, not BHRT. Right? One's a little bit better than another, but we're still dealing with a response that's inadequate in the body. And you can do the Botox and you can do, oh my God, like it's exhausting to watch some of these people, the hyperbaric oxygen chamber and the red light and the sauna and the what the fuck am I missing? What am I missing, Adrienne? Like the number of things where I'm like, in order for you to feel good, you have to do all of this, oh my God. I don't know. That's a stressor to me in and of itself. Go outside. Yeah. Sit in the sun. Who cares if you get a wrinkle? 9 times out of 10, though, it's not the sun. That's a whole nother conversation, Well,
it makes me think about the videos and the memes that I see about like she's got the red light mask or she's got like the paper mask on and she's vacuuming and she's drinking water at the same time.
Has a book.
Has a book, is on a vibration plate. It's like, yeah, there's a lot going on there. And some of it I think is necessary only because the demands of our life exceed what is on board.
Correct.
However, if you start really listening to what it is that your body is saying, those things become less important.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the water is important, but like I have
people. It is great. I do it every morning, I mean, like, I love it. Rebounders are great too. Stick on 3 songs and you're good to go. You know what I mean? But like, holy shit, the red light face mask. I don't use mine. I gotta be really honest. Like, I go out in the sun.
See, because I use mine during certain seasons because I don't get a lot of sun up here.
Like right now.
I've been using a belt around my abdomen because it puts energy into my life gates, my Ren 4 and my Do 4. And honestly,
you don't have the option of going, like I could walk outside after this podcast, lift my dress up and lay in the sun, no problem, and still get good UV exposure. So like the way you're applying it makes complete and utter sense.
Yeah, during the summer, I don't do anything like that. Have you ever
seen a sun hug?
No.
Oh my God, I have to send it to you. It is this, I don't have any affiliation with this company. I just absolutely love what this gentleman did. It's almost like a box that he created for the northern hemispheres where you can go out in the sun, you can place yourself in it, and it's like 78 degrees when it's minus 20 out because of the sun and the way it heats the box up. I'm like, this is genius. Forget everything else. Just get one of these, and you get the UV exposure. You can vent it so you still get the fresh air. Like, I'm like, brilliant. Sorry. Side note, squirrel.
No, that's awesome. I love stuff like that though, because like, I'm always looking for how can I create my natural nature experience.
Circadian rhythm informed. It's that type of technology. I wouldn't even call it technology, but that's what I'm going to utilize. It's biocircadian informed.
Yeah. I mean, we started going to a campground and literally living out of our camper in a seasonal for, oh my gosh, I think we're going on 5 years now. Yes, 5 years now. And the first year I did that, my entire health picture changed. My cycles changed, my sleep changed. I was having sleep issues and issues with insomnia before that. And I mean, I was late 30s. So here I was, even as informed as I am, going, I must be in perimenopause because I'm hot at night and I can't sleep. And like, your more stereotypical signs. But when I had this opportunity to literally have my tea on the porch every day, I was outside more than in. I was working from my laptop outside almost every day when I did have to work. And then when I didn't have to work, I was just playing outside. And I just I was anxious when I had to come home because I'm like, no, this feels good, And I knew that once I got back home, not only is my house a lot bigger demand on the cleaning and tidying than the camper is. But it's just the fact that I got to literally live outside as long as I did. And so I spend 5 months pretty much outside all out of the year. However, I live in New England. So as soon as that window closes, man, like you're indoors a lot, and you sit with tea in a jacket with a hood and a hat and bundled up in order to get your light in the morning. And so like the fresh air feels good, but you have a limited capacity because you get cold.
But it's really important to talk about this, because this is like going outside and getting morning light exposure, or your red light, if you're where Adrian is right now, is literally like sticking the keys in the ignition of the car and turning the engine on to warm it up for the day. Midday light is like keeping the engine running. An evening light or red light, because we're all in this stupid cycle right now where they've changed the time. I wish we would do away with that. Like, just pick one time frame. We don't need to be bouncing back and forth. Farmers don't need it anymore. Okay. Like going outside at night or getting your red light at night is like taking the keys out of the ignition and turning the car off for the night. Light is literally, UV spectrum is one of the most potent regulators of hormone and glandular systems. And it's free.
It's huge.
We're talking about a free resource. Yeah, perimenopause, guys, just be mindful. If you think you're in it, I think it would be worthy of speaking to somebody, especially if you're in your like mid to late 30s. Don't just buy the hype. I know everybody's talking about how menopause is hitting in 40s now and perimenopause is hitting in, late 30s, mid 30s. And could that be true for some? Yeah, look at the way we're all expected to show up and be on all the time. Like, of course, something's going to blow up when, things are operational in that capacity. But instead of taking on the hype and going down a path that could potentially land you with more problems, it might be worthy of having a conversation with somebody who can look at it through a different lens and be like, actually, I was constitutional. I was like, I'm going to check my hormones and we're going to go back to steaming. Adrian did the fairy work on the vajayjay, right? And like, I went and got the pee strips. And also, just to speak to this, like Adrian said, one blood test, snippet of time. I chose to do urine metabolites because I can look at 8, 10, 12 days over the course of several months, so long as the company sends you your strips on time. I got a beef, but it's helpful because you can paint a much fuller picture, and 4 months is really what you want to see. Right.
Yes. Because like you have a brand new uterus every 90 days. So when people are struggling with certain kinds of cycle patterns over more than a 3-month period, it's because there is a disruption in your normal healthy cellular division. Yep. And until you provide a pattern interrupt, you're going to continue to see the same symptoms. And that's essentially everything that I do, is providing the right tools so we interrupt the imbalanced pattern so that things can go back to what they already know how to do. Your body knows how to make healthy cells. Your body knows how to have a healthy period. And I know that some of you are shaking your head and going, Adrian, that sounds like a unicorn. You're fucking ridiculous. And I used to be that person. Oh man, when I started doing the work that I was doing now, I was the biggest skeptic because I had endometriosis. I had cycle related problems. I started having insomnia issues in my mid 30s, thinking, oh, maybe I am starting to go through perimenopause. No. It had to do with the fact that my body was looking for tools that it didn't have. It was looking for energetic resources it didn't have enough of. And when I provided it with what it needed, I was able to get pregnant at 39 and have a home birth at 40.
I think the other thing that I would plug in to with this conversation is if you are a person who has implemented good tools and you're still experiencing irregularity, there's an entire conversation that could be had around mitosis and the morphogenetic field, but that takes a lot longer to explain. We are meant to be given a template at birth from mom, but if mom is birthing us in an under-resourced state, our organ systems are only going to know impartial replication. And trauma and nutritional deficiencies, et cetera, is going to create further fragmentation in these organ systems. And sometimes you need a little more help in the unseen elements that you don't fully understand, as I said earlier, but absolutely influence the way that your body operates in order to become whole, to become holy, as my mentor would say. So on that note, astrology can show you seasons of life too, just FYI, like we talked about. So you've got a powerhouse. I call Adrian my Swiss Army knife a lot of the times. I'm like, great. Like we've got steaming, which is, I will probably never not steam again. Maybe at one point we can talk about what it looks like to be indeficient in menopause and not bleed and what that does for the body, because like we're used to having this expulsion. What happens when we no longer have that? Like what happens? I know that my bleed, although it doesn't always feel good, it feels good, if that makes sense. Because I'm like, okay, pressure valve, release.
Yeah.
So what happens when that doesn't happen? Anything you'd like to add, Adrian?
No, I think that I would just invite everybody to get curious about what it is that their body is saying to them. And if you don't feel like you're getting answers that resonate with you, okay, we're talking about your intuition here. And when you go to your practitioner and you go, I don't know if I feel good about what it is that you just said, I encourage you to get curious and to ask for another opinion and think outside the box, because the allopathic box is pretty hard-edged. And
it's an infant too. If we're talking about infancy, when it comes to medicine, we're talking about systems that are like 5,000. I don't even know how old astrology is, but it's old. Right? Like same thing with Eastern modalities. We don't have documentation to verify that necessarily all the way back versus a medical system that is literally 200 years old. Also, like look at the amount of destruction it's done. Yes, it's brought really incredible tools in emergent situations, but that's a whole conversation about playing God. Like I really philosophically get into that in my head where I'm like, are we doing things we shouldn't be doing in these situations? Like what did that soul agree to? And what are we pulling that person out of in terms of a contract? But I digress, but overall, I do think that Western medicine has done a lot more damage than it has good. Guys, if we wanted to cure cancer, we would have cured it by now. I'm probably going to get my wrist slapped for saying that, but
I agree.
It's no good to cure something when there's profit to be made. Your body is the bank account and constant withdrawal is what keeps them in business. So on that note, before we go down any other rabbit holes, it's been a pleasure sitting with you for the last, hour and 15, and we'll catch you next time. Stay well.